Okay, we just finished tangent. We're going to do the other two major trig functions that we have. They are sine and cosine. So let's first talk about sine, right? Again, we're going to start off with a right triangle. We're always going to label the hypotenuse. Easy enough. It's always crossing the right angle. And then we're given two adjacent angles, so we have to talk about which one that we're going to be working with. So if I label this one as my adjacent angle A, which side is the opposite side? There, the one over here, which is the adjacent side. Very good, right there. So the definition for the sine of angle A, instead of being opposite over adjacent like it was for tangent, we're actually introduced the hypotenuse for this one. So the sine of angle A is going to be the opposite leg divided by the hypotenuse. Sine is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So this is the definition that we're going to use for this. Okay, sine of angle A is opposite of hypotenuse, so it's going to be the ratio of that side to that side right there. Opposite over hypotenuse. You can simplify this. Some people like to simplify this as the sine of angle A is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, but you're going to see me again use this definition most often. Okay, let's talk about cosine now. All right. If my acute angle is labeled there as angle A, I have the hypotenuse. Which side's the opposite side? This one's the opposite side. Good.
The adjacent side doesn't even matter for this one.
It does in this one. What's the adjacent side? That's the adjacent side. Okay. So the definition for cosine, this is how we abbreviate it. COS. Please do not say cos. Okay, that's cosine. So the cosine of angle A, which is this angle up here, okay, is going to be the adjacent over the hypotenuse. This is the one you're going to see me use. Some people abbreviate it as cosine angle A equals adjacent over hypotenuse. No, we're not saying cos. We don't say cos. It's the cosine. COS is the abbreviation of the word cosine, so we always say cosine. We don't say cos. We say cosine. Just like we don't say sin for this one. We say sine, okay? All right, so we have all these ratios now. So we have to like look at them all and come up with a way to remember which one that we're using, okay? Okay, so here are all the three trig ratios that we've talked about: the sine, the cosine, and the tangent. Sine, cosine, and tangent, and they are different ratios. And then by far the most popular way to remember it is this SOHCAHTOA thing that you have, right? Is this SOHCAHTOA. What does that stand for? So the sine is the opposite so hypotenuse. Okay. The cosine is the adjacent to hypotenuse. And then finally, the tangent is the opposite to adjacent to the adjacent. Okay? All right? We have these ratios: sine, cosine, tangent. We have an angle, an acute angle of 56 degrees. We have a hypotenuse of 12. Our goal is to figure out what x and what y are using the appropriate angles. All right, so which one do you want to find first? X or y, doesn't matter.
X.
Okay, we're going to find x first, all right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to highlight, or we're going to make sure we know that this is the angle, okay? If that's the angle, then is x the opposite side to that angle or the adjacent side? Very good. Okay, this is the adjacent side. Everybody agree with that? X is the adjacent side. And what is 12? 12 is the hypotenuse, right? HYP. Well, I wrote that backwards, sorry. HYP, hypotenuse. Now, which trig function? Is it sine, is it cosine, or is it tangent? Which one deals with adjacent over hypotenuse? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Must be cosine. So therefore, the cosine of 56 degrees must be the adjacent to the hypotenuse, x divided by 12. To solve for x, we're going to multiply both sides by 12. So x has to be 12 times the cosine of 56 degrees. We go to our calculators. We plug in 12 times the cosine of 56 degrees, and we get an answer of 6.710. X is approximately 6.710. Are we done?
No, we have to find y.
We have to find y. Very good. So now, okay, y is the opposite to the to the acute angle 56. So which one are we going to use? Deals with opposite over hypotenuse, because the hypotenuse is the one that was given to us. Which one is opposite over hypotenuse? It must be sine. So therefore, the sine of 56 degrees must be y divided by 12. We multiply both sides by 12, and y must be 12 times the sine of 56 degrees. Again, we go to our calculator for this, and I'll move it over here to the right so you can see that. So I say 12 times the sine of 56 degrees, and I get a value of approximately 9.948. So y is approximately 9.948. Do this one on your whiteboard. Solve for x and solve for y. Okay, there's the problem from start to finish. Y was approximately 8.452. X was approximately 18.126.